How long ago was that?
Class of 92.
Oh shit, I was a year after I was born. God damn.
You wouldn't notice. I wouldn't notice.
I heard someone make an interesting point that actually,
do you have
if China were to invade Taiwan, like,
I guess you have
something might like low-key actually wants that to happen. It wouldn't cause like a military. I don't think we're gonna do a goddamn thing if they go in there. The only reason we're really protecting them.
What happens to South Korea? Like, what happens with those countries that have lined up with us, or Vietnam, that are in the region that have now taken the U.S. position with these tariffs against China?
You know, the new tariff just started 9 minutes ago, right?
Yeah, I'm just.
To my understanding, at least with as far as, and obviously I don't have that. Like, it's much more complicated. But I know the chip factory in Taiwan was a very big thing that we were
so like,
a few people are making the arguments that, like, if that were to get taken over, that it could actually benefit us, because we would then maybe become the leader with chips sold.
Do you know before
I don't understand.
Hold on. Like, Louise.
That's right.
Like, before 1994, before 1994, when I was 19, and, like, Clinton signed NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, and allowed, like, you know, Detroit to, like, you know, abandon itself and go to Mexico and Canada, and, like, all this, like, before 1994, America made 80% of all the semiconductors in all the world. We make 8% of the semiconductors now, because we allowed, like, in 1970 in China, the average wage was 8 cents an hour for a Chinese laborer. And when Nixon went over there in 1970 for the first time in 25 years and met with the leader of China, and he made an agreement, he's like, yeah, we're going to start sending that. And then in, like, 2000, what was that? They joined the World Economic Forum, and then, like, 6 million companies shoved into their country. Like, they became the major semiconductor manufacturer because they did it on slave labor.
Well, yeah, but Intel just sucks now compared to AMD.
Right, but
my NVIDIA is doing as good as my AMD.
I'm just going back to us being the security partner for these countries, you know, and our reliability as a security partner. If North Korea invades, if China invades Taiwan, I mean, there's geopolitics with this too, as to how these countries line up with us, and if it really becomes, you know, us over them.
Yeah. The thing is, I mean, you don't realize the reality of what China's got going on. China
actually.
May I finish my sentence?
Sure.
Please. What I'm saying, Abby, is China imports 80% of their food per year because they can't grow enough in their country to sustain the 1.4 billion people that they have. And yeah, India is bigger than them now. I know this.
Okay.
But the thing is if we embargoed China and we stopped all imports of food to China, you would have 500 million people dead in the first year from starvation.
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't even have to pull a bullet.
Doc, I
Facility.
disagree with you, and I also I have business. You don't know the kind of business I'm in, so I'm not going to dox myself in the room. But some people know. I mean, I've been involved in business in a special administrative region of China for what year is this? 20 years now. So I think I do have an understanding of it. I don't agree with you.
You don't import a bunch of food for a year. Okay.
No, I don't think they would die of starvation there. I just don't agree with you. I think there's some self-sufficiency more than you're realizing.
And there's no.
I think Maslow's human needs theory would take over really quick.
They would get their imports from somewhere else, and they would cut us off completely. We rely on them for a lot of things too. It wouldn't just be that they just die, dude.
Like it would not be hard to defeat China. I mean, they're so easy to defeat. The Japanese kicked their ass for so goddamn long before we showed up and like got them busy.
What we have done is gotten them fat. That I will tell you, as we brought in our fast food chains all over in mainland, we've definitely changed the diet there. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's so funny when you go, especially like if you cross the border into these towns like Shenzhen and Zhuhai, you know, like outside of Hong Kong or Macau, and you just see they're just swarming with Pizza Hut and KFCs, and you see we have totally screwed up their diets. Also in Beijing, I mean, there's just so much Western influence now, and you know they have a whole middle class they really didn't have before. You know, I don't know if you've ever been there or trips to there and see the difference. Like, I mean, my first trips, you just saw a lot more people on bicycles. Now, like, you know, they've built what we would call beltways. That we have beltways around cities. They built like, I guess I'm going to say there's like at least 3 of them now around Beijing, and maybe even more. And it's just the traffic is a nightmare.
Yeah, 16-lane highways.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're reliant on oil so much more now because this middle class that got developed, it's just very different, and you can see the change. But with the diet, it's just so much Western food, and it's changed physically for the Chinese. But you see it more in these cities that built up. Like, I'm thinking Shenzhen is a good example of one of them, the newer city.
Well, I would ask you, do you feel that, like, you know, Abby, the CCP still has, like, you know, a very influential position within the youth?
I mean, are you saying, are they still communists there? Is that your question? What are you asking?
Well, I mean, I know that, like, you know, before India ended up started making the new iPhones, you know, when they were being made in China, they had to put nets around their buildings because people would jump off the buildings, so they would, you know, get caught by the nets so they didn't kill themselves.
How true is that? Like, how frequently was that actually happening? I've heard that it's Pakistan, right?
Yeah, iPhones are being made in India now.
Like, why would you jump off a building if there's a net there?
Well, because they put the nets around the building because people used to jump off the building and kill themselves because you would live in the building and you were living in turmoil and you didn't want to live another day of that, so you just wanted to end it.
Maybe it's one of those things where it's so densely populated.
Yeah, well,
like every day there's a dead guy on the pavement, but it's like not really that. It's like 1 in 10 million people are.
Wow, I'm tired of being part of slave labor. I'd rather end it.
But you know, with that amount of inevitability in your day-to-day life and that much government control that they are, you know, poised to prevent it, I would say they're very much communist still. There's no way around.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's called the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. Hello.
I think China is like communist. I think it's maybe like a little more fascist or corporatist in that sense.
Wait. The government is literally called the CCP, and you're saying they're not communists?
No, Simon, but you can
Yeah,
have.
Democrats, and they're not very democratic.
Yeah, you can be. You can
Like,
be
what do you really think about Xi Jinping?
you can really be ideologically communist with a fascist economic. It's just like they inserted nationalism into their, into their political view. That's what they.
I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Xi Jinping, but it does seem like it listed 1 billion people like out of poverty. I don't know what his stance is, but the country definitely improved.
GDP per capita, like it's not even close to America. Like, and then if you look at
Okay, but
What's
they have a
up,
fuck ton of
David V?
people. They have a fuck ton of people, and they're definitely far better off than they were 40 years prior,
that's
or
like,
when I.
that's like saying that's like the tankies that say like, oh look, we went from like the Tsarist Russia to like that's basically what you're saying.
That's what Azar just means a Russian king.
Like, look, I get it. Yeah, it's he's probably not the.
Okay, I mean, I can take that. But is it so the Japanese? I don't even know what they did exactly. I know they had labor camps that were pretty harsh. I mean, but okay, what about Mao? What about Stalin? Is there anyone worse than Stalin? I don't know. Who cares?
I don't know if there's any modern mentality. We're not fighting to achieve a goal. They were definitely fighting in an extermination kind of way.
Those are like, I think Mao and Stalin, I think that's a religion. That's a form of also like a mass hysteria. I think communism is
Mr.
mass
Torah,
hysteria.
and there's 5 books inside the Torah. Okay. The Injil, how many books is it?
Well, atheists,
Just one.
right, that affirm that Jesus was
Just
crucified.
one.
They know it
That
was
is
that
the
much.
issue.
Right? They know that he was baptized by John the
Alright.
Baptist. He had 12 followers. Right? Their independent verification. And Paul, Tacitus, some say Josephus, and John. There are like 4 or 5 independent sources which testify to this. And you have to remember, even ravenous atheists, people that are most motivated to say that none of this fucking happened, right? Even those people say that this shit happened. You have to look at critical history and do an evaluation of it.
Don't forget about Richard Carrier. You know, he was a Christian mythicist.
Fuck up, Jay. Jay, you're an idiot. Like, you know nothing.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know who Richard Carrier is.
So the idea is that you can complain all you want about the state of scholarship throughout the globe, but it's just you have the consensus of people that do this shit for a living that just say that yes, it is more likely than not that Jesus was crucified. You just have to take that on board with you if you want to be a sane human being and interact with other people.
You're in New York,
Right.
yeah, but you
Without some just perverse.
where I'm at, COVID
So
was
it's
hard.
bullshit.
I've never seen anything
Right.
like it.
So you can nip
Never
that in
seen
the bud
anything
that
like
you don't
it.
think Jesus was
Nobody
crucified,
has.
right? And just fucking
Yeah,
accept
but
it
believe it.
as
People
quickly
have.
as possible, so that you're not being delusional any longer. You understand what I've just said to you? Yeah, exactly.
Come on, man. You want to get that loud up?
They just reported what people believed. Everybody was in a state of confusion there. You know, Jews got 3 different versions of Jesus dying. Now they completely they think
Oh,
that
you're not
existed.
listening.
It's just you like to believe it. That's fine. You know, that's human. But if God raised him up, of course, in Quran say it so appeared to them. Who knows what happened?
You just let that infidel pull your butt cheeks out and spank the shit out of you.
Yeah, whatever makes you sleep better.
Okay, so like even in the Quran, right? You guys admit things about Jesus, right? You believe that Jesus took clay and blew into it and breathed life, made a bird out of clay and then blew into it and gave it life, right? You have all sorts of beliefs about Jesus and miracles that he had,
Thomas.
right? Right. Well, you have all sorts of.
forgery.
I know. Hold on, Jay. We don't need. The point is that the Quran affirms a lot of things about Jesus, right? And then for some reason he says no, he wasn't actually crucified because that didn't fit with the narrative that Muhammad was trying to spin about
So
Jesus, right?
It's a
So when
that God will allow its greatest prophet to be tortured raped and murdered. That's fine with you, huh?
I don't know. What's your point? Is that okay? Is that whether it's okay with me or not? Is that okay? That's not what the Christianity believes.
Oh
right?
my God! What about all
believes,
the Romans that used to fucking like subjugate all the Christians
God
during that
damn
time?
it, Jay.
They didn't believe in any of
You
that.
can't just shut the fuck up for 3 seconds. Listen, the point is Christianity believes that Jesus was God and that He laid down His life for His children, right? For His creatures.
That's the
right?
spin. That's
Well,
the
that doesn't matter. That's the spin.
Man.
Doesn't matter the spin. The point is that's what they believe, right? And Muhammad comes along 600 years later and says, no. He actually didn't do that. All that part, a lot of the stuff was right, but that part was wrong, right? And so when we ask you, how do you determine what is right and what is wrong in the Bible? You say, oh, well, it has to agree with the Quran. It's just arguing in a circle.
He's
right?
the Messiah. He can't die yet. He's the Messiah.
What the fuck are you talking about? He's the Messiah. He can't die yet. Says who? Says Muhammad? Says Allah? 700 years later?
Says the scriptures.
What are you talking about?
The Old Testament.
Scriptures say that He's going to lay down His life. That's clear. I'm not even a Christian, and you're fucking wrong.
Is it what
I tried to get Daniel back up. Daniel, can you come back up and lecture us again? Can you lecture this guy about that?
Yeah, Daniel is long abandoned his faith,
If I need
man.
Daniel to come up, he'll fucking come up and wreck you again.
So Jewish people get how to read the scripture. Is that what you're saying? They read it wrong. For 5,000 years, they got the scripture wrong. And along comes pagans, Romans, and Greeks trying to tell them, no, you got it wrong.
But aren't you the one that calls Jesus a prophet? Isn't Muhammad the one that says Jesus was a prophet? Yeah, he got it wrong, right? Jesus got it wrong, right? He was a prophet, but all the shit that we know about Jesus is
Even
wrong.
Allah in His Quran actually venerates the Virgin Mary in the same way the Catholics do.
What do you mean? No. Venerates is a high status of but not.
That's right. Why did Allah prefer the Virgin Mary above other women?
But Allah elevates in status who He wishes. Then she was one of the
do a Hail Mary full of grace, man.
We
As
don't
the
pray to
function of the
Mary.
castrum or castellum is
Well, you pray to fucking Muhammad every time you do Zoom
Then let
prayer,
the
so,
realization-
if you don't, then you're not a Muslim.
Hey, don't get vulgar, okay? So,
Chill out.
it is in practice, not in theory.
So, I mean, Armand, just to be clear,
we don't pray to Muhammad. He's dead. He can't listen to save my life.
Oh, wait, I'm going to prove that one. Go ahead.
Sorrows
plenty of Jews
ceasing.
accepted Jesus, Armand. So, I mean, Jesus himself was a Jew. His
Jesus
followers,
is what?
As the function
is what?
hold on, they accepted him as to who he claimed to be.
As God on earth?
Not just God, but as the prophet, as the one that was foretold in the Old Testament. He was.
No.
First,
I don't know, man. For some reason, brought me close to Andrew today.
hold on, Jay.
It's a simple question. According to the Judaism, is Messiah supposed to be God on earth? Yes or no?
Andrew, now you're speaking my language, man. It's like you went to seminary school.
It doesn't have to be that God on earth. They can have a misunderstanding or not have a full revelation of that.
Oh, they got it wrong. Yeah, I see.
No. I said
We took the Greek pagans to tell them what
Armand, I said a misunderstanding. Armand, listen. They can have a misunderstanding or not a full revelation on that. But that doesn't mean that God can't come down in full glory and then take on a human meat suit and become, incarnate and then die for our sins. It doesn't mean that. So I don't know why.
A meat popsicle.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
It is kind of rather funny that he's throwing around this whole pagan thing, right? When Muhammad literally took the black stone, which was a pagan symbol, and they told people to go lick the black stone. He totally took paganism and rammed it up everybody's ass.
Oh, Jesus, that's why Christian ain't pagan
What's
anymore.
going on, right? That's what's hilarious. He's calling people pagans, yet they took the pagan religion and
Hold on, Tim,
mixed
don't
and mashed
say it
it
again.
together.
Don't say it. Oh, I thought you were going to say that again.
Yeah, that was a little.
Tim, Yeah, so Tim, I don't think that like when somebody takes something as sacred or they take something as like, yes, let's just put it as sacred. I don't think it makes for productive conversation to take what they think is sacred and use words like putting it up.
Well, remember that he was the one that was disparaging. But Selah, he was the one that was disparaging people, calling the Greek pagans and the pagan this and you pagans this and you pagans that. So I wasn't on board with using that until he started it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think turnabout's fair play. If you're gonna start, disparaging people, you're gonna get it right back.
I think Andrew was starting from a good point.
So I'm sure if I would have witnessed that, I would have had something to say about it as well.
Yeah, just and I might not be up for the slap somebody back kind of thing, but I totally get. I think it's kind of, if Armand's going to say that, it is kind of contradictory to say something like that, but then have this kind of black stone thing. I mean, that sounds pretty weird to me. Maybe Armand, maybe you could explain that to us. But I mean, if anything sounds kind of weird, that sounds kind of weird. Licking a stone, what's that about? What do you?
The stone presumably came from heaven and it became black for whatever reason. They say, it was
because it took on the sins of mankind. Don't forget that part.
I'm not sure about that part, but
you can go look it up. It says that about Islam.
The prophet touched it, and one of his companions
said, "Why would I know more about your religion than you do?"
Jay, don't do it.
Just a sec. The whole idea is the companion said it is like, if it wasn't for the prophet that touched it before, I wouldn't touch it because I know it can't bring any harm or benefit. Ask us what we believe about this stone. It's just a stone. It's just a rock. We don't pray to it. We don't do anything to it. People do exactly what the prophet did. If you touch something, they take a pleasure in doing something the prophet did. There is no veneration of the rock.
We lost you. I think that your headphones may have died.
Yeah, you're malfunctioning, man.
Well, while he's coming back, I'll just mention to you, it is rather rich, considering the idea that he's running around calling people pagans. But again, that black stone had been worshipped by the pagans in the regions for a very, very long time prior to Muhammad ever coming around. And then he said, "Oh, that stone had something to do with Abraham, right?" And he just incorporated that into his religion. Now, I don't really care whether that's true or not. Like, it's fine that he did that. But the idea that this guy comes around here and starts calling people pagans and how it's disparaging them when his religion clearly has pagan roots, it is a little odd.
It's actually funny because you just think the Protestant Christians that built the ark, the Noah's Ark thing down south in the United States that people can go and visit. You think they would do that with the Kaaba and Mecca? I digress, though.
I'm sorry, guys, to interrupt you, but okay, as a Muslim, okay, and Arab at the same time, I can show for you that the Arab mean nothing to us, okay, nothing to us. Even the Kaaba itself, we consider it as a house for God, but it also means nothing for God.
Is that why you have to? Is that why you have to turn to it when you do your Hajj? And you have to kiss it if you get close to it. You got to put your cheek on it. It means nothing to you, but you're supposed to do that.
We are circulating when we're doing Hajj.
Hey, man, it's part of your pilgrimage.
We are circulating around the Kaaba, which is house of God. For us, each mosque, it's a house of God, so it's the same thing. And even the continuance of prayers during the Hajj, we repeat Hajar, which is the mother of Ismail, when they were left in the valley by Prophet Abraham.
So why do you take on the traditions of the pagans and throw stones at the wall?
The black rock, okay, the black stone that you're talking about, it's black because of the blood of the sheep, which was slaughtered for Prophet Ismail. Because in Quran we have
Ishmael.
Yeah, Ishmael.
No, keep going.
You see, Abraham had a dream that he should kill his own son. Okay, but he didn't kill him, and a sheep was killed.
So why did they cement the whole place around the Kaaba so nobody could do archaeological digs to see if Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob was there?
we even have a leg of Abraham, the footprint of his leg.
Because you know that there's something down there. It's not even close to a river. Like, this is where people used to settle, especially in places of trade during that time. And there's no traffic in there. It's in the middle of nowhere.
When established by Prophet Abraham, yes, it was middle of nowhere because no water was there. But after Ismail
Right,
there,
so, you could prove that Muhammad was there at the time, right? Can you prove Abraham before Isaac and Jacob and Ishmael and all these characters? Isn't Ishmael part of the descendant line of Muhammad? Prove that. I would like to see some archaeological evidence. Oh shit, they fucking cemented it over there.
Ismail, even name of Prophet Muhammad is by
the way, the seed of prophethood did not go through the line of Ishmael, by the way.
Which scholar? Scholar.
It is, and it's in the Torah even.
Your Quran only contradicts the Greek Septuagint, the Pentateuch, the Torah, whatever you may have it.
It corrects them. It corrects them. It fills
So
them.
the University of
Okay, have you said for the New Testament and for the Old Testament?
over them to overwhelm our schools, hospitals, and communities throughout the country. Entire towns like Aurora, Colorado.
The earliest ministry for the New Testament, it's 400 years after Jesus.
Fair enough.
See what I mean?
So you can't even prove that Muhammad existed or he conquered lands by historians that conquered their lands, and then you're gonna give me some sort of evidence for like Ishmael coming through these lands through the descendant, like Muhammad's the descendant.
You can check even the Old Testament, okay? In the Old Testament, a lot of prophecies talking about Ishmael and talking about a prophet coming from their brothers, which is
What do you personally know about those? What do you know about those prophecies? Why don't you go ahead and enlighten us?
Okay, that's first time for me to go to in such
Abraham gave gifts to Ishmael, but let's be clear here. Ishmael.
Real quick, Selah, Benji wants, this is going to be hard, so.
Guys, I think that most of you share the same point of view.
Hold on.
So,
Benji wants 20 seconds to play his theme song before he speaks. And he said people keep kicking the jigsaw. He's referring to himself. Something happened to him about a month ago. I think he broke. But he's
He's at a break, so shall we say.
He's had a mental break, and he's taken on two. He has two different profiles that come up here, and here he is. He's coming up here. Hold on. So, Selah, I do think we need to do this just to give everybody a reset if you're up for it. All right, Jigsaw, Benji, everybody let him give 20 seconds. Go ahead, my brother.